Hello and welcome everyone. This is Build Watch series where I will try to create as accessible as possible rundown of some builds that are currently popular and currently very strong in the game. I hope that I'm gonna do it for every single skill in the game, but we'll see. So this video in particular will be about Kinetic Blast, Reap, Corrupting Fever, champion, and this is quite powerful zoom zoomer, like map farmer and stuff like that, with like pretty okay damage on single target as well, which has pretty good defenses, pretty good damage. So yeah, and as you can see, we are gonna take the characters that have been played by the people in the game, and for the first week, as you can see, this character hit level 100 5th with this skill setup, and afterwards I guess on the second week of the league, he acquired Mage Blood, and there we can see just a way more costly setup, and I'm not gonna cover it because Mage Blood and Handhunter, they are warping your gameplay quite heavily, so we're gonna see this character at the end of the first week. It's quite moderate on the budget, even though it's definitely not cheap, but you can play it cheap. It's just a person that was min-maxing it at as hard as possible and definitely was investing a bunch of currency in that character, but it's still quite a good league starter. It's still a very powerful map blaster and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just go for the pop itself, and we will start with character defenses, attacks, and offensive stats, and then we'll go for the talent tree itself. So as you can see with defenses, it's 217k effective hit pool with champion. It's definitely quite much, and we see here almost 100k armor. You will be defended from physical damage, you will be defended from the magical type, from the elemental type, the damage types. Then with Kinetic Blast itself, even though we can't really see the damage in here, Kinetic Blast is your just map clearing spell, and Reap is your single target, more of a single target setup. With Corrupted Fever combined, they will have a bunch of damage. Kinetic Blast is essentially just your spreader of the Corrupting Fever, and your Reap, and currently Val Reap, as we've got a Val version of the skill in this league. And your Val Reap is your single target spell. With Val version, it will definitely help to just single target, damage down single target enemies. We see here that it has 1.3 million deeps, and the Corrupting Fever has 200k. It can depend. It's definitely like PoE. Ninja's calculation are not the best in the world, but it can give you a general idea of how the build works and where it is. But it is very fast, and it's very reliable when it comes to the speed clearing the maps with Kinetic Bolt and with Kinetic Blast. And with the Corrupting Fever itself. So yeah, let's go for the talent tree itself. So as you can see, we're taking increases to armor, evasion rating. Well, evasion rating, as we can see, even though there's a bunch of increases, we don't have too much of it. So that's kind of irrelevant for us. We just have this both evasion and armor rating increases. So yeah, armor, life, a bunch of all res. You cannot be impaled. Okay. Then we have even more life. We're taking all the reservation efficiency that we possibly can. Then increases, just generic increases to damage. I'm gonna go for the Cluster Jewel a bit later. More health. Call to arms using Warcries is instant, and Warcries share their cooldown, so that's for your Warcry to be to work seamless. Then more damage, reduced life cost of skills, which is essential for us because we will pay with our life for all our skills, and Corrupting Fever will be very expensive. You will use it once at the start of the map. It will cost you a bunch of life, almost your maximum life. Then you will heal up, and then you will just then you will, with your baseline abilities, you will maintain it, no problems. You wouldn't have to use it anymore. We have again more armor, more all res and life, some endurance charges. Then we will go for the inspired learning. Yeah, more life again, more defenses. As you can see, we're taking just as many defensive talents as we possibly can. 10% of armor also applies to chaos damage taken from hits, which is mostly why these two talents are taken. That is very powerful. And yeah, 10% of the physical damage from hits taken is chaos damage. And yeah, so you can see we can manipulate with our armor and with physical damage that we're taking to reduce chaos damage that we're taking as well. Then again, more mana reservation efficiency and defenses. So as you can probably see, we have almost like 2 or 3 damage damage like circles on the tree, and everything else is for armor and defenses and maximum life. And our damage are damage physical, like generic physical damage increases are here, and some of the damage we've had, like just a bits of them scattered around other places. Then we're taking these 3 mana parts in order to increase our mana reservation efficiency with this mana mastery. It's mostly like main part where we're taking these 3 talents, and you can divide it on like 4 talents, so it's going to be 3% increased mana reservation efficiency of skill per talent, which is still pretty good. Then when we're gonna head to the cluster jewels, and we're taking both of them, which are big cluster jewels, large cluster jewels. Here we have just generic physical damage, evasion rating, and armor, mostly like armor, and again more phys damage. And here probably something like that. Yeah, so attack cast speed, phys damage, and phys damage. That's what you're aiming with this cluster jewels, because we don't really have that much increases to our physical damage on the tree. That's why we're using 2 large cluster jewels, and we're not really using medium ones and stuff like that. Okay, so then let's go with our unique jewels, or just regular. You see here just phys damage over time multiplier, damage over time multiplier, and what's essential, corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you, because without this multiplier you'll probably suffer quite a bunch. Then we see here Iron Wheel strength's bonus applies to spell damage, which is definitely good for us. And here we are using Glorious Vanity with being able to use Divine Flash. All damage taken bypasses Energy Shield, 50% of elemental damage taken is chaos damage, and +5 to maximum chaos res. And we see here that we have 84% of chaos res just right there. So yeah, that's what we're using here, because we will have a big chunk of our chaos damage is going to be mitigated with our resources invested in here as well. So part of it will be defended with our armor, and that's very good. That's why we would prefer to take not elemental damage but chaos damage instead. Okay, so then we have slots for our jewels. So Watcher's Eye that we're using is increased phys damage when we're using Pride. Pride is going to be our big damage multiplier, and damage penetrates lightning resistance while affected by wrath. We're just not using. So this is your Watcher's Eye with one modifier that you need, and it's probably not really that expensive. Storm Shroud modifiers the chance to avoid being shocked apply to all elemental ailments, and that means that you probably want to stack this chance to avoid being shocked as much as possible. And again, I've completely forgot about our ascendancy, just as like I did with Juggernaut, but it's not. Yeah, let's go for the ascendancy quite fast. Inspiration. It's good for our reservation. It's good for our effect of non-curse auras. So that's your aura talent. Then first to strike, last to fall. When you're getting big amounts of damage you're activating adrenaline, which will give you just increases to your speed and a bit of additional damage. Your hits permanently intimidate enemies that are on full life, which is definitely pretty good as well. Then Unstoppable Hero and Fortitude, just for you to have Fortify constantly. It's a massive damage damage reduction when you're being hit. And Unstoppable Hero is just like armor, increased attack speed, can be stunned. That's all your and both defensive and offensive stats. So we saw the unique jewels there. Now these two unique jewels will be Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flash. So allocates Headsman here as well. And Headsman is our Slayer talent, which gives us 20% call. So you will just kill enemies that are on 20% of health or lower with any your damage. And it gains some attack speed and movement speed when you kill enemies, which is again pretty good for you being fast. So yeah, these two things are definitely, they're not like 100% needed, but that's gonna be a very good quality of life and damage on bosses as well. And that's mostly it when it comes to the so yeah, Glorious Vanity we've already saw. That's mostly it when it comes to the oh no, 1 second. So Inspired Learning, again, that's for fast map clears. You will steal one of modifiers out of rares with 4 allocated big nodes, and we have 4 allocated big nodes here. So yeah, that's just like a partial headhunter that probably currently costs close to 1 divine. It cost like closer to 3-4 at the start of the league, and as it progresses, these are in less demand. People are buying headhunters, so this is not that's not a too expensive item at all. Then with our skills, what do we have here? Let's start with our main link. It's our 6th link. It is gonna be Reap and Corrupting Fever in one place with Brutality, just more damage. Empower, that gives levels to Corrupting Fever and Reap. That's very impactful. Awakened Swift Affliction, more damage over time, and Efficacy, more damage over time, and increased skill effect duration. Then we have our Spreader of Corrupting Fever, Kinetic Blast. It's just like your wand attack with a bunch of explosion going on, and they're rapidly applying Corrupting Fever to your enemies. With GMP, more projectiles is definitely something that we're looking for. Life tap, for you to spend life and to reuse. So Corrupting Fever, it refreshes if you're spending a bunch of life, and you will spend a bunch of life on your Kinetic Blast and life gain on hit. If in order for you to heal out of all these explosions, and Life Leech wouldn't really work here because we're not really dealing any damage with our attack itself. It's just for us to, yeah, it's just gonna be very good healing when you're spending life on life tap and yeah, stuff like that. So we have vulnerability on our gear. That's we're probably cursing everything when we're hitting something, and that's just damage multiplier. Then Shield Charge, faster attacks, life tap, Enduring Cry. That's for your skills not to cost mana, and therefore you will be able to reserve 100% of your mana. So yeah, you can see here 0% unreserved mana, which means that if you want to use something, you have to have life tap on it. Shield Charge is your mobility skill, and Enduring Cry will give you just additional damage reductions, and it will generate you endurance charges. Then we have our Val Molten Shell with custom damage taken. So Val Molten Shell is for your manual use, and Molten Shell is just gonna be massive damage buffer with the amounts of armor that we currently have. Then Blood Rage and War Banner, they are simply damage increases, accuracy rating, and and just like attack speed and frenzy charges generation. Then this one we've saw, and with our main reservation points are gonna be Determination, Pride, Malevolence, and Herald of Purity. And there's a bunch of, as you can see, there's just a bunch of reservation going on here. So that's, without all the modifiers, is gonna be more than 170%. But with all the modifiers for our reservation efficiency, we can squeeze all these things. So Pride is fizz damage, more fizz damage. Determination is our main armor multiplier. Herald of Purity, again, more fizz damage. And Malevolence, more damage over time and skill effect duration. So yeah, that's what's going on with our skill gems. Now let's go for the items. What's up with our time? It's 14 minutes. I still have enough. So with that going, let's probably start from our body armor. It's gonna be Skin of the Lords. You can definitely have anything else in here as well. It's not mandatory. So Resolute Technique means that you don't deal crit strikes, and you don't really need to, and you have 100% accuracy chance. So you have 100% chance to hit enemy, but you can just like allocate Resolute Technique if you don't have this item in particular, and it will cost you 1 talent point. You can only socket Corrupted Gems in this item, so that's not a problem. Increased global defenses, which is just very, very powerful, and +2 to level of socketed gems, which will give you a bunch of damage as well. Then with our weapons, we have just one that gives us fizz damage over time, +1 and +1 to all fizz and spell and spell skills, and some attack speed in order for our Kinetic Blast to feel good. Then we have Saphel's Frame, which is not expensive at all. It just gives you all maximum res. You cannot block attack damage, but you don't really need to, and you can block some spell damage. With additional spell damage increase. So that's just like your all res defensive shield. In here with Helmet, we have more mana reservation, which is crucial. Vulnerability effect, more damage, chaos res. Yeah, you will definitely want to have as much chaos res as possible. Just cap it off because it will be so helpful. So yeah, we have here chaos res, armor, life, again more mana reservation efficiency, and projectiles pierce an additional target, which will definitely be useful, and you need that in order for your Kinetic Blast to work, because you don't really have any other pierces on your tree or in any other place, and you don't want to use one link because you're already using your Kinetic Blast on 4 link, and yes, so that's an essential part. In here with gloves, we have Hemophilia that will it's gonna be a just explosions against enemies that are bleeding, and attacks have chance to bleed. So this will be your just clear speed increase. Titan Greaves. So bleeding you inflict deals damage faster, more attack speed, I mean increased attack speeds, more resistances, movement speed, chaos res, and a bunch of armor. With Amulet, we see here again damage over fizz damage over time, or just damage over time multiplier, some stats, +1 to a level of all fizz skill damage, gems, and some resistances. We don't even have any health here, any life here. Then with our rings, we see here Amethyst ring, so it doesn't give you the chaos res, but it has curse enemies with vulnerability, which saves you 1 link slot, and it saves you the headache of needing to apply it on enemies. More stats, life, and some chaos res. Then we see here Circle of Guilt. Herald of Purity has increased buff effect. It's a Herald of Purity ring. Increased fizz damage while affected by Herald of Purity, which is one of the main stuff that we want here as well. It gives some attributes and a bit of armor. With belts, again, just straight up chaos res as much as possible. A bit of other res, life, and with our last regular jewel, it's gonna be chaos res, life, some stats. Again, so nothing special. Divine Flask, so just life flask. With immunity to bleeding, we have immunity to corrupted blood anyways on our jewel. Then we have other life flask with immunity to poison, and we need more life flasks, because if we are in the spot where we can't really heal up with the Kinetic Blast, if there's just a boss there, we need more life flasks in order to have an ability to heal ourselves. Granite Flask, more armor. Quicksilver, more speed. And Sulfur just gives us some regeneration, attack speed, damage, and that's it. Yeah, so that's it with this build. If you like videos like this, then definitely subscribe to the channel. Hope you're having a good time, and goodbye.